Friday, June 23rd. Please note this meeting is being recorded. Thanks to members of the public here. I see a few with us today and joining us through the audio option. I appreciate everyone's patience as we go through today's meeting. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Starting with Director Conroy is absent. Director Dorsey.
Present.
Director Engardio is absent. Director Garbarino is absent. Director Giudice.
Here.
Director Grosball.
Here.
Director Hernandez is absent. Director Meston.
Here.
Director Mulder-Peters.
Here.
Director Park. Director Rabbit.
Here.
Director Radoni.
Here.
Director Safai is absent. Director Snyder.
Here.
Thank you. Director Stephanie.
Here.
Welcome. Director Thier is absent. Second Vice President Hill.
Here.
First Vice President Cochran.
Here.
And President Thier.
Here.
All right. You have a quorum. Thank you. And staff in the room, we have General Manager Dennis Mulligan.
Present.
Joe Wire is not here today, but we have Jennifer Minucci here as Acting Auditor Controller. Eva Bauer-Furbish, thank you. And Kim Manolius.
Morning.
Let me double check. Madeline Chen is not here, but we have Dave Rivera. Morning. Mona Babauta.
Yes.
Thank you. Mike Hoffman, our ferry manager, is not here, but Kelly Hopper is here too. Thank you. And that confirms staff here.
Okay. Director Mulder-Peters, having just arrived, it's time to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Yeah, we're a little more together now that we're in the same room instead of all over the internet.
You know what I miss? I miss the slanted table because we can't see the people down at the end.
Have faith this moment will come to us again.
Not soon.
Madam Secretary, we now have public comment.
Yes, we do. We have one person in the room here. We have one public comment card, speaker card, and that's Manuel Gamboa. So I'm going to invite him in just 1 second, but Justine also has a number on the line. So if we would like to, we'll start with Manuel Gamboa. Why don't you join us at the podium?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Mr. Gamboa.
Good morning. Can everybody hear? Great. I wanted to share today, I always mentioned my son on September 20th of 2013, drove to the Golden Gate Bridge and passed away. But tomorrow, June 24th, would have been his 38th birthday. So tomorrow's his birthday, and he was born in 1995, and so I just wanted to share that date also with you guys. And it's probably one of the main reasons why I showed up in person, because it's real easy to do the phone call. So, but like I mentioned to a couple of you guys, this is the shortest drive I've taken to come to a meeting. So, and I hear what Dennis says and everybody else that, we got to share the space with everybody. But with that, I just want to thank everybody here for the they say, well, it's a deterrent, and it's not the answer, but it's a good start, and I believe it's working, even though it's not all completed, and it's right on time, and but I just want to thank you again for that, and continue with the completion of this, and hopefully, like I've always spoken, that it will prevent other parents like me going through what I had been through. going on 10 years. Seems like yesterday. And, but yeah, this is, like I said, it's very humbling that this is happening. And with that, I just want to thank everybody again. And, just, go from there. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Gamboa. And I want to thank you. Remark that a lot of the directors currently on the board were not here before the pandemic. And so for them, this is the first opportunity they've had to see the photographs of who we lost. So thank you for bringing those today. Madam Secretary, we have speakers on the line, I believe.
Correct. I'm going to turn it over to Justine on the line, and she's going to introduce the list of speakers she has that's calling in. Justine, go ahead and take it over.
Good morning. Thank you. Our first speaker this morning is Dave Rohde. Mr. Rohde, go ahead.
Board members, managers, and staff, good morning. Wish I could be there in person. Didn't work out. Thank you again for the opportunity to provide input on the district's new strategic planning initiative. Yesterday, I submitted a 4-page proposal addressing electric buses, electric ferries, building decarbonization, and the many opportunities for the Golden Gate Bridge District to become its own clean energy producer, investing in solar, wind, and tidal energy. I also pointed to divestment from fossil fuels as essential to the district's climate change mitigation. My comments about reducing expenditures as a byproduct of developing an all-electric fleet, which cuts operational costs in half, are coupled with outside-the-box ideas on strategic corporate partnerships, job creation, and a complete rebranding of Golden Gate Bridge Transit. I'm sure you wouldn't have asked for input if you didn't plan on vetting all the ideas that your request has generated, so I'll leave it to you to read my report and hopefully many others. But I must underscore the urgency of your transition to clean energy and climate mitigation. This is from a recent article by Dr. Johan Rockström, a Swedish climate scientist who heads up the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research. Scientifically, it is now well established that Earth has entered a new geological epoch, the Anthropocene, where our globalized world constitutes the largest driver of change on Earth. The amount of CO2 emitted so far from our fossil fuel burning and the environmental destruction caused by us is sufficient to affect our planet's future during the next 500,000 years. We are in the driver's seat, determining the future state of our home, planet Earth. We triggered the Anthropocene some 70 years ago when our fossil fuel-driven industrialized world economy went truly global. The Great Acceleration is a fact, manifested in an accelerated rise in greenhouse gas emissions. Our planet is showing the first signs of an inability to absorb more human abuse. Nearly 70 years after its onset, we are forced to concede that the Earth system seems to be running out of resilience, losing its biophysical capability to buffer and dampen the pressure, stress, and pollution we are exposing it to. The Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District isn't just facing a post-pandemic fiscal challenge or a need to reinvent itself in an ever-changing world. You, like every transit system and industry worldwide, are at the very cusp of what needs to change for future generations to thrive on this planet. You are in a position to be heroes to your grandchildren. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Rohde. Ms. Bach, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is David Peltel. David, go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. So thank you for listening to me yesterday on several items. It was a good discussion, in my opinion, on toll policy, budget, and various other things. On the minutes, item 5, public comment at the April 27th Building and Operating Committee meeting was largely remote. So I would just add the word remotely on pages 9, 10, and 12 of the packet, similar to pages 18 and 19, and I think also on page 31 for a different meeting, just adding the word remotely in parens. Otherwise, the minutes look good to me. The general manager's report today is comprehensive and informative, as always. Perhaps we'll hear from the general manager on funds from Sacramento or anything else. And I just wanted to take a brief second about the NWP, the Northwestern Pacific Railroad. The Northwestern Pacific Railroad Historical Society meets periodically in Marin and Sonoma to discuss the history of the railroad. I am a big fan, and I believe that North Bay Railroad history is very much connected to district history and all the various aspects of it, from Tiburon to Tamales to Two Rock. Some of my favorite stories include the crossing in Santa Rosa and the controversy about that more than 100 years ago, and the pencil factory in at a spot called Turner, at the corner of Turner and Blank Road near Hessel, off the Gravenstein Highway. Anyway, lots of great history with the NWP and lots of people and stories, and just wanted to call a moment of attention to that. Thanks very much again for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Pilko. Ms. Buck, the next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is David Seltzer. David, go ahead.
Howdy. My name is David Seltzer. I'm an avid cyclist and frequent bike commuter. I attended last month's meeting and was a signer of the petition for improvements to Alexander for safety and requesting a safety study. And I just wanted to say I really appreciated how seriously the board took that feedback and sounded really positive on wanting to make those improvements or make improvements, and understood, how bad and dangerous that Alexander is, and that it really does need some changes. So I was able to see the general manager's report and was really heartened by the quick build improvements that were being stated as possibly happening soon, as well as even more positive on the mentions of real significant changes, and wider lanes, lower speed limits, all that good stuff. That being said, I was a little concerned about this idea of it sort of being a second project as opposed to part of the main road rehabilitation. I work in architecture, and so I know when projects are sort of done piecemeal, you do end up with that. Lots of options get taken off the table if you have to work around previous decisions that were made in a previous project. And so I just wanted to really encourage that the improvements to the safety of Alexander and for cycling and people walking and all of that really be tied into the main rehabilitation project rather than something done later. And once again, to continue engaging the public in this process going forward, especially those road users like people walking and biking that are the most vulnerable and the most at risk by this current danger of the current conditions of Alexander. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Mr. Feltzer. Ms. Buck, next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Warren Wells. Oh, I apologize. I'm out of order. Dave Trout. Dave, go ahead, please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Dave Trout, and unless I'm wrong, I'm the fourth David in a row. I'd like to comment on the safety of Alexander Avenue, which, as others have said, it's unfortunately has a history that's been quite dangerous for bikes and pedestrians. The district's planned upcoming survey of Alexander Avenue should include a thorough and independent study of safety. Please include a public process to get input directly from the road's many users. This will allow recommended safety improvements to be implemented as an integral part of the upcoming rehab project for Alexander Avenue, not as a separate project, as the previous David just mentioned. I thank you for continuing to take safety seriously.
Thank you, Mr. Trout. Ms. Buck, next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Warren Wells. Warren, go ahead, please.
Thank you, President Theriault, members of the board. This is Warren Wells from the Marin County Bicycle Coalition. Yeah, at last month's board meeting, we presented a petition to the district signed by over 1,000 people and 20 organizations who were frustrated with the current conditions on Alexander Avenue, the single most dangerous mile of road in Marin for people riding bicycles. We were heartened by the response from this board, a number of whom spoke powerfully about the need to improve this crucial corridor in our active transportation network, part of the which is the only way to bike between Marin and San Francisco. In this month's GM's report, we were pleased to see the extended note about Alexander Avenue committing to at least studying quick build bike and pedestrian improvements as part of the upcoming rehabilitation project. The report also mentions openness to modifying lane widths, reducing design speed, building retaining walls, and providing dedicated bike ped facilities. It's all good news, and we encourage the district to pursue a holistic approach to this process rather than tacking on bike ped improvements after the road is rehabilitated. These improvements should be a central part of the planning from the outset, as bicyclists and pedestrians are a large share of the road's users and the vast majority of those injured in crashes on the corridor. We know from our experience that digging once saves money, time, and hassle. And if funding is a constraint, there are a number of grant programs this project would be very competitive for without jeopardizing much needed funding for the bridge's seismic retrofit. We also encourage an open process where members of the riding public, for whom Alexander Avenue is a commute route to work or a lifeline to open space, can share feedback on the design before they're finalized. We thank the district for their willingness to make progress on this front, following a commitment to improving safety, as seen in the substantial success of the median barrier and the suicide deterrent system. We look forward to working toward reducing the large number of serious injuries on Alexander Avenue before, God forbid, someone loses their life on the road. As it stands, we fear that it is kind of only a matter of time, but you, the board and staff, have the power in your power to change that. So again, I thank you for your time and consideration and look forward to working hand in hand going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. Ms. Bach, is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
President Terrio, if you don't mind, several people joined the call. If you don't mind, if I could just poll and see.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Good morning. If you'd like to speak at the board meeting this morning, please use ** to unmute yourself and let me know.
Hello, my name's Parker Day, and I'd like to speak.
Hi, Parker. Thank you. I'll add you to the list. Is there anybody else who's joined us that would like to speak at the board meeting? Please use ** to unmute yourself and let me know. Okay, I'm not hearing anybody else. So we do have Parker Day.
Hello, good morning, board and bridge staff. My name is Parker Day, and I live in San Francisco. Thanks for hearing my comment today. I'm calling in about Alexander Avenue. My wife and I bike for transportation, and we often need to ride on Alexander Avenue to get where we're going. So we care a lot about the future of the roadway there. I wanted to say thank you to the board members, the members of the board, for being so receptive to the concerns brought to light at the last meeting last month. The petition and letter presented to the board showed that a lot of people care, and a lot of people and organizations care about this stretch of road. And it was really refreshing to see the board take those safety concerns seriously. I was also happy to see Alexander Avenue addressed in the general manager's report, with a specific mention of studying quick build solutions for pedestrian and bicycle safety. That is much needed and exactly the direction that we need to be heading with this stretch of roadway. So now that there is some momentum here, I think there's a couple of specific things that should be part of the pathway forward. First, safety improvements should go hand in hand with any sort of retaining wall or road rehabilitation projects rather than afterward. This is, after all, the most dangerous stretch of road in Marin, so it's important to not delay in the matter of safety. Second, I'm hopeful that the process to make Alexander safe engages with the community who already bike and walk there. People's lived experience is essential in finding solutions, and it's important that the Bridge District taps into that through this process. I just want to reiterate that I'm excited to know that this board is interested in making progress on Alexander, and I know that I personally, along with a lot of other everyday people and advocates, are excitedly watching and will continue to pay attention to what happens here. So thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Day. Ms. Bach, is there anyone else?
We have no other speakers this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bach, and thank you to all those who spoke. General Manager Mulligan, as is traditional, you want to respond?
Certainly. First, I'd like to thank all the speakers for taking the time to share their comments with us. With respect to specific comments, I'll start with Mr. Gamboa. For the newer board members, you may not know that Mr. Gamboa and his wife, Kimberly Renee, live east of Sacramento, and they have not missed a board meeting since their son committed suicide 9.5 years ago. And when we were meeting in person, the only way to testify was in person, and they came here. So I want to thank him for his tireless advocacy and for the commitment he and his wife have to ensure that others don't suffer the loss that they have. So, Manuel, I just want to make sure that everyone in the room knew how dedicated you and Kimberly Renee are to this cause. With respect to Mr. Rohde, I always appreciate his advocacy and his focus and his laser attention on the district to keep us on the correct path as we move forward to address the climate emergency that confronts the entire world. For Mr. David Pilpo, I want to thank him for his thoroughness, and I'd like to make sure that Mr. Pilpo knows that with respect to the history of the Northwestern Pacific Railroad, the Bridge District owned the NWPRA right-of-way from Corte Madera to Cloverdale, either outright or in partnership with other agencies such as Marin County Transit, and the NWPRA. And I did have the pleasure when I was a chief engineer for the Bridge District of being the chief engineer also for the NWPRA. And it was a great day when we turned that right-of-way over to SMART at no cost. and I handed to Lillian Ames, and then general manager, a letter that I just faxed, because that's what we did back then, to the Coast Guard saying, call Lillian, don't threaten me with jail when those lights are out at the Black Point Bridge. So we're big advocates of that. And then with respect to Alexandria Avenue, I do want to.
Smart.
We love SMART.
Love them.
To talk to you about that deferred maintenance. It was Abraham Lincoln who said it takes a heart-stopping amount of money to run a railroad.
Yeah.
That's true. So I would defer to the SMART board members to opine on that. But with respect to Alexandria Avenue, we appreciate all the feedback we received last month. And so I wanted in the GM report kind of talk about what we're doing and what we will be doing. So we are inspecting it. We have pruned back the vegetation. And we are revisiting the road every day to see if there's gravel on the shoulders so that we can remove it. The existing lines are faded. It's been quite some time. So hopefully next week, or before you meet again, certainly, we will have restriped the center line and, more importantly, the fog lines on the outside to demarcate and delineate the shoulder. Next week, we should have the request for qualifications out. We need to construct a physical land survey of what's out there before we can do any work. We will do a separate procurement for traffic engineering. Those are separate expertise. Firms that have land surveyors generally are smaller. Many of them are DBEs and SWEs, but they generally don't have traffic engineers on board. So we'll do a separate procurement for the traffic engineering expertise. But we need to get the survey before we can get anyone working on any facet of it. Staff believes that the condition of the pavement is such that it does require more immediate attention. And so it is our intention, and we'll certainly talk to others, to have a project that we'll hire a consultant for that would basically mill up several inches of asphalt, redo the asphalt, and fix the guardrails, and implement any quick build alternatives that seem appropriate based on the available real estate. In all likelihood, that would be eligible for a CADX under CEQA, and so it's something that could be implemented relatively quickly. Projects that want to construct retaining walls and widen the roadway would require a more detailed and thorough environmental process. And so the trade-off would be, if you want to pursue that the pavement would stay in its current existing deteriorated condition for considerably longer, because EIRs generally take a multi-year process. But staff is committed to pursuing that more detailed study after we complete fixing the pavement that's out there. And we will hire a traffic engineer to review quick build alternatives that could be incorporated into that repaving project. It's also important to note that that property out there is not owned in fee title by the Bridge District. It is owned by the Park Service. And so we need their permission for whatever we do. So that's also a federal environmental clearance process when you get into the bigger project. And one final point is to really look at creative solutions would require a much broader community, because that follow-up project could look at things like converting a portion of Alexandria Avenue into a one-way facility. And then you'd have a lot more real estate available for bikes and pedestrians. But clearly the community of Sausalito in the Park Service with their Kavala development would be interested in, how you would do that and how it would work. And so I think that is something that is worthy of study, but I do think that is bigger than just milling up some asphalt and replacing the asphalt and adding some quick build alternatives. So the staff proposal that I put in the GM report and our current course of action is consistent with those thoughts and values, that the pavement can't wait many years for an EIR to look at something that will take time to study, but we will be involved with the community for all of those improvements, even the most minuscule. Now, clearly, we'll let folks know when we're going to be restriping. We'll work with folks on the paving project and what quick build alternatives could be incorporated into that, and then subsequently to look at more broadly and more dramatically reconfiguring transportation in the corridor. So that concludes my remarks on the public comment that you heard today.
Thank you, General Manager Mulligan. So the next item on the agenda would be the consent calendar. You've all had a chance to review it. Are there questions or comments on the consent calendar? Is there a motion to approve? So moved, Giudice. And a second. Madam Secretary, that would mean a roll call vote.
Thank you. We're voting on item number 5 with first and second. I'm going to start with Director Conroy, who's absent. Dorsey?
Aye.
Ingardio is absent. Garbarino is absent. Giudice?
Yes.
Grosboll?
Yes.
Hernandez is absent. Maston?
Yes.
Moulton Peters?
Yes.
Parr?
Yes.
Rabbit?
Aye.
Bordoni?
Yes.
Sefai is absent. Snyder?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Thier is absent. Second Vice President Hill?
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you.
I will say after the fact that there's a mention of, I think, a flexible design for the toll gantry. It doesn't specify what sort of flexibility we're talking about. But I think we're okay. Some kinds are better than others. Then General Manager's report is up next. General Manager Mulligan, you again.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, members of the public. My written report is before you. I do respectfully ask that you ratify an emergency action that I took pursuant to the authority granted to me. That is that I approved an emergency contract amendment with Moffitt and Nichols related to the San Francisco Ferry Terminal ramp repair. The cost of that amendment is $356,140 pursuant to the Public Contract Code Section 22050. In our procurement policy, I authorized an emergency procurement, but it does require your approval of it. And so I respectfully ask that you ratify that action before I go through my other items in my report.
So we'll take a pause in the report. Are there questions or comments on the General Manager's action? Is there a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Second. Motions and seconds around the room. Let's do a roll call vote on that too.
Thank you. This is going to be 6A1. So starting with Director Conroy, who's absent. Dorsey?
Yes.
Ingardio is absent. Garbarino is absent. Giudice?
Yes.
Grosboll?
Yes.
Hernandez is absent. Maston?
Aye.
Moulton Peters?
Yes.
Parr?
Yes.
Rabbit?
Aye.
Bordoni?
Aye.
Sefai is absent. Snyder?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Thier is absent. Second Vice President Hill?
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 13 ayes.
There you go. On with your report.
Thank you. My written report is before you. I'll highlight just a couple items. The first one is that our staff is always out there, engaged with the public. And in May, one of our ferry boat crews rescued a person in distress on San Francisco Bay. And while it's in my written report, I would be remiss if I did not draw your attention to it. So my hat's off to the crew of the MV Del Norte. Call went out from the Coast Guard for all mariners in the area to help somebody, and we were able to get there quicker than anyone else, but everyone always mobilizes, and kudos to the crew for that. With respect to travel post-pandemic, travel in the Golden Gate Corridor still remains below pre-pandemic levels, but it's especially commute travel. Recreational and tourism travel is mostly back, which is heartening. And while I always, every month, talk about how much traffic is down compared to before the pandemic, it is trending upward. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't highlight that. So, for example, in May of this year, bridge traffic was 3.5% above May of 2022. Bus ridership was 12.2% in May of this year compared to the prior May. And ferry ridership was up 26.5% in May compared to May of the prior year. So while we are still well below pre-pandemic levels, we are trending in a good direction. Meanwhile, transit operations are continuing at levels commensurate with demand for our services. And so we're making our one-time federal COVID relief money last as long as possible. But I just want to let you know that things are slowly trending upward. Then with that, I will go into employee recognitions. We had one employee get a 25-year service award this month. Elizabeth Gomez, some of you may know her. She currently works as a customer relations assistant in the district division. She was originally hired as a toll collector. And so she's been with us since June 26th of 1998. And I just want to recognize her 25 years of service. If you've had the pleasure of working with her as a toll collector in Bridge Security or now as a customer service rep, she has the appropriate personality for all of those jobs. Then we have a 20-year service award to one of our laborers at the bridge, Hester Gonzalez. We're pleased that he celebrated 20 years of service on June 5th. He joined us in 2003. And then finally, for the Employee of the Month, we have a committee of employees, not management, that nominates and selects one of their own each month to be the Employee of the Month. And that committee for the month of June has selected bus operator Charles Reckmeyer Jr. He receives this recognition for going above and beyond the call of duty all the time, but there was a specific incident down at Santa Clara VTA where he was down there as part of the mentorship program. He is one of our bus operator mentors. He spends a lot of his own time, not just company time, on that. But while he was at incident in January at Santa Clara VTA, one of the employees there went into cardiac arrest. He jumped in and administered life-saving CPR until first responders could get there. But his colleagues share that he is very happy receiving this award for his life-saving efforts, as well as his dedication to the mentor program. Being a bus operator is a hard job. So when someone gets hired, if we don't help them navigate that transition into that lifestyle, they struggle sometimes. And so our bus division, working with the union, has rolled out a mentorship program. We have some of our more senior and best bus operators who participate in that program. And Mr. Reckmeyer is one of those individuals. He was originally born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He attended Tulsa Central High School. He's a retired Army Reserves Sergeant First Class. He probably served for 32 years. He has 3 Army Commendation Medals, 5 Army Achievement Medals, and 2 Overseas Service Ribbons. He's been a resident of Santa Rosa since 2000, along with his family, his wife Michelle, and his children, Charlie, Nicholas, and Samantha. In his free time, he also enjoys long walks and bike rides with his wife, as well as hunting, fishing, and camping. He's also a proud member of our Bus Operators Mentorship Program, and so he is our Employee of the Month. That concludes my report. I'm available for any questions you might have.
Director Parr.
Thank you. Dennis, I'd like to have us highlight the employees that graduated from the Leadership Academy. I think going to leadership academies is essential, and I noticed that the choice of the people that you sent were people who were already in some sort of leadership capacity at each of the divisions. So congratulations to them. I think Paul put their picture in the latest newsletter. So thank you for that.
Yeah, we have a workforce that's growing, that's, transitioning, people retire, people come on. And so, training is a key component of what we do to be successful. So thanks for highlighting that. The pandemic had a lot of training go sideways. And so pre-apprenticeship programs, apprenticeship programs, mentorship programs, and training are all being reinvigorated and restarted. And so thank you for acknowledging that. The employees we sent are all great employees. But they transitioned recently to jobs that have more responsibility. And so it's important that we don't just thrust them in there without giving them the requisite skills and training to be successful. So thank you, Director Parr.
Are there other directors with questions or comments for the general manager? Seeing none, I will make one. And that is the third of the 4 consecutive Davids, Mr. Feltzer, did point out the danger of doing a small project and having that serve instead of a more important and extensive project. This is very parallel to a danger I've heard various individuals here note in the past, and that is, for example, if we ask the feds for money for 2 projects, one of which is much less expensive than the other, we will get money for the less expensive one at the end and be told, oh, we've already taken care of you, when we go looking for the money for the one we feel is more important but is more expensive. So I'm appreciative of your assurance that the quick build project on Alexander Avenue will not be the end of the line for our work on Alexander Avenue to make it safe for bicyclists, pedestrians, and others. I think you've heard both from the public and I'm sure also, not just myself on this board, that we fully expect that that will be the case. That we will follow up any quick build with a very serious consideration of how to take care of Alexander Avenue in the long term.
Certainly.
Okay. Anybody else from the board with anything? Director Hill.
I just want to say, like Michael, I'm personally invested in these improvements. I chair the Bicycle Advisory Committee, and that comes up there regularly also. So I really appreciate the work you're doing. That's right.
Any other directors? No, then that would be it for the general manager's report. Next is the attorney's report. Mr. Manolius.
Thanks, President Terrio. My written report's before you. I'm happy to take any questions. No closed sessions today. It's good news.
Are there questions for Mr. Manolius? I see none. So we can move right along to the engineer's report. Ms. Bauer-Furbush, you're heading to the podium.
That's a great exercise. Walking is the best exercise. President Torrio, members of the board, my written report is before you, and I would like to highlight some of the projects that are reported in my engineer's report. First, the suicide deterrent. We are moving towards completion of the net at the end of this year. The work is ongoing on sewing the net, which means permanently attaching the net to the border cables in span 1, which is the south side span of the suspension bridge, and also in the north half of the main span. The net attachment, the sewing, has been completed in span 4, which is the south half of the suspension bridge main span, and also on the west side of the north back span. So we have substantial length of the net currently in place. However, there are some setbacks with the work on the south approach viaduct and Fort Point Arch. The work is temporarily on hold there, but we hope it will resume quite soon. What happened at the south approach viaduct, there was a problem with the installation of the tension rods that have to support the arms that in turn support the net, and those rods have to be refabricated, but we hope they will be delivered soon. For the Fort Point Arch, the contractor is waiting for additional pieces of the work platforms. So once again, we hope that work will resume very soon. The most complex net installation work is around the towers. And I'm pleased to report that the supports for the net around the North Tower are already in place, and the work is progressing on the installation of those supports around the South Tower. Also, there is a work activity on the net installation in the North Approach Viaduct on the east side. So with this, we are very optimistic that we may reach this goal of completing the net installation by end of this year. And then I would like to move to some projects that I did not mention during my previous reports. This is the Golden Gate Suspension Bridge Seismic Retrofit Project. And as you remember, with Dennis's leadership, the Bridge District was able to obtain $400 million in federal funds to construct this project. And also, to provide the context, a few years ago, the Bridge District decided that this job, because of its complexity and high degree of skill, management skill, technical skill that it will be required from the contractor to build the job, we will not use the low bid process. And instead, we will be selecting this contractor based on qualifications. What I'm talking about is the construction manager, general contractor procurement method that's been quite popular around the country during last 20 years. And it arrived about 15 years ago to California, and we decided that this is the way to go. So that big milestone is that on May 31st, we advertise requests for qualifications to select the most qualified candidate to assume the role of the construction manager general contractor. So this is a two-step, basically contracting process. The first contract that the selected proposer will receive under this submitted statement of qualification will be so-called pre-construction services, where the contractor is actually performing like a consultant. They do constructability review, they exchange information on the means and methods, scheduling, and also open book cost estimating. So the goal is to end this pre-construction services phase with the agreed construction price. And this means that with the open book estimating and us having our independent estimator to double check if we're getting the good deal, it will be a process that is full of collaboration. So hopefully there will be no surprises, there will be no dying in the boardroom during the low bid opening session. So if the construction price is agreed to, then we proceed with construction, and the board will have to, of course, award such construction contract. But there is a caveat. We have to follow the established procedures for this type of procurement method, that those procedures are approved both by Federal Highway and Caltrans. And if we cannot reach an agreement on the construction price, then all bets are off for that CMGC entity, because the district has a choice to proceed with a new procurement. Would it be low bid or maybe another CMGC? But that CMGC that failed to agree to reach agreement with the district cannot participate. However, this process only works when both parties, the district and CMGC, are committed to collaboration. We hope that the setup is an example on other projects, proof that many projects being successfully delivered this way. So on June 14th, we already held our pre-proposal meeting, and I'm really happy to report that we have, based on the list and participants in that pre-proposal meeting, we have 4 large joint ventures or companies that are prospective proposers. So there is really a good interest in our project, which is really important to us. So with this, I would like to answer any question with regards to this project before I give you a little information on some other jobs.
Director Grosswell.
I'm not asking you to commit precisely, but can you give us a general time range on that project? How long,
Okay,
how long it might take?
Sure. So if everything goes okay according to current schedule, we should be awarding the pre-construction services in November this year. I think that we may agree on, usually what's happening with this type of complex proposals, proposers ask for a few weeks of extension, and we want to do it right rather than to do it very fast. So if we have to extend, then I think we will be awarding in January next year. So, and then there will be about 9 to 12 months of the pre-construction phase, which will go to the early 2025, where the board will have to award construction contract with the projection that we have agreed construction price, and then about 5.5 years of construction. One good thing about this procurement method, the contractor may bring up some means and methods that will build this job much sooner. So, but what we're talking about is completion 2029.
Thank you.
Director Moulton Peters.
Thank you for the report. I just had a question. Is this the first time we've used this CMGC approach? I thought so.
That's correct.
And then a follow-up question just to Directors Parr and Rabbit. Am I remembering correctly? We used this approach on SMART, I think, for some of our rail construction, where we actually hired the construction.
You're right.
Yeah, it worked out very well. Yeah, good. Thank you.
So if I may add, so it was a big step for us to assemble our format for the request for qualifications for this type of procurement, because we had to get blessing from Federal Highway and Caltrans, follow all the rules, so on. So now we have a form. So now if we want to, for example, proceed with our main cable rehabilitation job that probably falls within the category of CMGC, we will be much more ready and can proceed much faster.
That's a good process.
Are there any more questions for Ms. Bauer-Bush on this project and process? Then you were going to continue your report, you said.
Yeah, I would like to talk very briefly about
The most important project, which is the elevator in the administration building. We all have a vested personal interest in this, okay? So out of selfishness, I'm following it very closely. And we hope that the waterproofing of the elevator pit will be done sometime next week. And then there is another piece that has to be completed, which is replacement of sump pump. This type of pump some pump we have, it's outdated. So we will have to wait until probably early July for the delivery of this equipment. And then we hope that by early August, we can complete all the work. And this has to be followed by inspection, but we will try to make arrangements as quickly as possible for the inspection. So Amoret doesn't have to go through all these processes of finding us temporary arrangements for the board meetings. We probably should have like a ribbon cutting. Anyway, and a little bit about other most favorite project, which is mitigation of the sound that it's emanated by the west railing on the suspension bridge. In the current world, we could not imagine, but it happened. So one day we called the supplier for those famous clips, and the message was that the phone been disconnected. So they send us a written notice that they can no longer carry this job, and they really I would give them a credit that they told us, and they say we don't owe them any money. But so what we did, we switched our conversation directly to the fabricator of the clips, and we are about to finalize. We agreed on method of payment and so on. That fabricator produced about half of the clips that we need, about 13,000. So we are on the way to get it done, but there is not a dull moment on both the elevator job and the clips job. Finally, as you know, every 2 years we have to completely inspect the bridge from the south to the north abutment. And we have a consultant who does so-called rope inspections. So next week, there will be another week of the rope inspections going on the bridge. I'm sure this is a great opportunity for the public and the visitors, the tourists, to see guys hanging on the ropes from our bridge. So with this, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have for me.
Are there questions on what the engineer?
Let's not sleep at night. That's my comment. But the second one is, as a board, historically, one of our favorite presentations by the engineering department has been the videos that you take of the inspection. So I'm just encouraging you to make sure and take videos for us, because some of us can't be out there and watch them hanging. And it's an amazing project.
Right, certainly, and with help of Paulo and his filming crew, we documented the suicide deterrent as well. And when we finally cut the ribbon on the elevator job and go to our boardroom, I will certainly will be bringing in my presentation more visual.
Are there any other directors with questions for Ms. Bauer-Furbush? I see none. Thank you, Ms. Bauer-Furbush. We have no other reports from officers, et cetera. And so we move along to the actions of the Building and Operating Committee yesterday and recommendations to the board today. These items were well discussed yesterday. Director Maston, you listened in, did not chair yesterday, but you're going to pick up the torch for Director Garbarino.
I hope I can do her justice. Thank you, President Terrio. On behalf of Chair Garbarino, I would like to present the Building and Operating Committee's recommendation for the first item, which is to approve award of contract number 2022 F014, Larkspur Ferry Terminal Fuel Tanks Rehabilitation, the Euro-Style Management of Sacramento, California, in the amount of $1,213,400, and establish construction contingency for contract number 2022 F014 in the amount of $182,010, equal to 15% of the contract award amount, as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Second. There's a motion and there is a second. Is there additional discussion by the board on this item? Apart from my remarking that Euro style could have a variety of different meanings. Then let's move along to a roll call vote, Madam Secretary.
Thank you. Voting on item 8A1, starting with Director Conroy, who's absent. Dorsey?
Yes.
Ingardio is absent. Garbarino is absent. Judice?
Yes.
Grosbol? Hernandez is absent. Maston?
Yes.
Moulton Peters? Yeah, thank you. Director Parr?
Aye.
Rabbit?
Aye.
Verdoni?
Aye.
Safai is absent. Snyder?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Deer is absent. Second Vice President Hill?
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. 13 ayes.
Director Maston, please continue.
Thank you, President Terrio. My last item to present is item 8A2 to authorize execution of the Fourth Amendment to contract number 2017 D30, San Rafael Transportation Center relocation analysis, environmental clearance, and preliminary design with Kimley Horn and Associates in an amount not to exceed $272,421 for continuation of consulting services, and revise the contract contingency to $47,579 as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
And there's a second. So motion and a second. Is there further discussion on this item from the directors? I see none. Madam Secretary, a roll call vote again, please.
Thank you. Voting on item 8A2, starting with Director Conroy is absent. Dorsey?
Yes.
Ingardio is absent. Garbarino is absent. Judice?
Yes.
Grosbol?
Yes.
Hernandez is absent. Maston?
Aye.
Moulton Peters? Parr?
Yes.
Rabbit?
Aye.
Verdoni?
Aye.
Safai is absent. Snyder?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Deer is absent. Second Vice President Hill?
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 13 ayes again.
That appears to be all you have, Director Maston. Is that correct? Very good. Thank you. Next up would be the Finance and Auditing Committee. Chair Rabbit, you chaired that yesterday. There was considerable discussion also on these items yesterday. Please go ahead with your report.
Thank you, President Terrio. The Finance Auditing Committee recommends the approval of item 8B1 to authorize operating budget transfers in the amount of $3,820,000 or 1.5% of the total fiscal year 22-23 operating budget expenses as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Second. There's a second. Okay. So are there any members of the board who wish to discuss this money shuffling? I see none. Madam Secretary, another roll call vote.
Thank you. Voting on item 8B1, starting with Director Conroy, who's absent. Dorsey?
Yes.
Ingardio is absent. Garbarino is absent. Judice?
Yes.
Roseball? Hernandez is absent. Maston?
Aye.
Moulton Peters?
Yes.
Parr?
Aye.
Rabbit?
Aye.
Rodoni?
Aye.
Safai is absent. Snyder?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Theer is absent. Second Vice President Hill?
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
And President Terrell.
Yes,
Thank you. 13 again.
that item also passes. Chair Rabbit, continue, please.
Thank you. The Finance Auditing Committee also recommends approval of item 8B2 to authorize a budget increase in the fiscal year 22-23 District Division capital budget for project number 2212, the Cybersecurity Strategic Plan and Mitigations, in the amount of $300,000 as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. On this item, is there any discussion? Looking around, I see none. And so, Madam Secretary, please do another roll call vote.
Thank you. Voting on item 8B2, starting with Director Conroy is absent. Dorsey?
Yes.
Ingardio is absent. Garbarino is absent. Judice?
Yes.
Roseball?
Yes.
Hernandez is absent. Maston? Moulton Peters?
Yes.
Parr?
Aye.
Rabbit?
Aye.
Rodoni?
Aye.
Safai is absent. Snyder?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Theer is absent. Second Vice President Hill?
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
And President Terrell.
Yes,
13 ayes. Thank you.
thank you. Chair Rabbit, roll right along, please.
The Finance Auditing Committee also recommends the approval of item 8B3, authorizing the general manager or his designee to execute any documents necessary relative to the fiscal year 23-24 State of Good Repair Program, and to approve submission of the Ferry Division Capital Projects number 2141, Larkspur Ferry Terminal Fuel System Rehabilitation, project number 2443, the San Francisco Ferry Terminal Outer Berth Rehabilitation, and project number 2444, the San Francisco Ferry Terminal Inner Berth Hydraulics Rehabilitation for the fiscal year 23-24. Proposed project list to the Metropolitan Transportation Commission as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
There was a motion and a second, is there?
Second.
And there's a second. Any discussion on this item? Then the roll call vote, please.
Thank you. This is item 8B3, starting with Director Conroy, who's absent. Dorsey?
Yes.
Ingardio is absent. Garbarino is absent. Judice?
Yes.
Roseball?
Yes.
Hernandez is absent. Maston?
Aye.
Moulton Peters?
Yes.
Parr?
Aye.
Rabbit?
Aye.
Rodoni? Safai is absent. Snyder?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Theer is absent. Second Vice President Hill?
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
And President Terrell.
Yes,
Thank you. You have 13 again.
with 13 votes, this passes unanimously. Now on to one of our very favorite things. Chair Rabbit, your next item, please.
Yes, insurance. We were fortunate to find out it only went up by what, 26%? Could have been worse.
Some of them.
President Serio, the Finance Auditing Committee also recommends the approval of item 8B4 to approve the liability insurance program effective July 1st, 2023, as detailed in the staff report, to delegate to the general manager the authority to purchase the excess general and automobile liability insurance, including public officials and employment practices liability with terrorism risk insurance coverage, act coverage, and various insurance companies with which the insurance broker is still negotiating, consistent with the terms described in the staff report, up to and not to exceed a premium amount of $3,769,158. Renew the excess workers' compensation and employers liability insurance program, the public officials employment practices liability insurance program, fiduciary liability insurance program for the other public employee benefits trust board, crime insurance program, cyber liability program. Additionally, to approve the property insurance program for building and facilities, delegate to the general manager the authority to purchase the Marin Transit Bus Property Damage Program, and continue funding the restricted bridge self-insurance loss reserve with an investment of $1,300,000. Thank you very much to Kelly Hopper for all her work on this and to leadership, and I so move.
We can actually include those thanks in the motion, I think. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Then there is a second. Does anybody want to talk about insurance? I don't see anybody, and I don't blame you. Madam Secretary, roll call vote, please.
Thank you. This is item 8B4, starting with Director Conroy is absent. Dorsey? Ingardio is absent. Garbarino is absent. Judice?
Yes.
Grosboll? Hernandez is absent. Maston? Moulton Peters? Har?
Aye.
Rabbit? Gradoni? Sefai is absent. Snyder?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
There is absent. Second Vice President Hill?
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran? And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you.
You almost ran right by Director Cochran.
I did. I figured he seconded.
I actually, I'm taking a point of first privilege to talk about a former business rep of the ironworkers who at meetings at the San Mateo Building Trades would always second the motion and then vote against it. So don't count.
Nice.
Please, Director Rabbit, continue.
Thank you, President Terrio. After a robust discussion yesterday, the Finance Auditing Committee also recommends the approval of item 8B5 to authorize changes to the district's master ordinance to comply with the passage of AB 2594 to decrease the maximum penalty per toll violation to $50 beginning July 1st, 2024, and decrease the toll tag deposit from $20 to $5 for fast track accounts funded with cash, and decrease the fee for the replacement tag from $20 to $5 as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. I'm going to stare real hard at Director Farr as I say this. Is there any discussion from the board? I see none. Okay. Then we have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, the roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Voting item 8B5, starting with Director Conroy, who's absent. Director Dorsey? Ingardio is absent. Garbarino is absent. Judice?
Yes.
Grosboll?
Yes.
Hernandez is absent. Maston?
Aye.
Moulton Peters? Har?
Aye.
Rabbit?
Aye.
Rodoni?
Aye.
Sefai is absent. Snyder?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Beer is absent. Second Vice President Hill?
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. 13 ayes.
Thank you. That passes. Director Rabbit, your grand finale.
Great. Thank you, President Terrio. Also, just want to thank again the budget staff for their work in getting us to this point. Balancing a budget is not easy during this time, as we all know. Thanks to Joe Wire's staff, especially Jennifer Minucci and her department in leading the charge to pull all this together. With that, I would present item 8B6 to approve adoption of the fiscal year 23-24 proposed operating and capital budgets, which includes changes to the reserve structure and table of organization, salary increases for the coalition, non-represented employees, and ATU represented employees, a capital contribution amount of $21 million, authorizes budget increases for 5 capital projects by a total of $785,000 to be funded with 100% district reserves, that last one, and approve all other related items as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
There was a motion. Is there a second? Second. It's a second to have a budget. Anyone wishing to discuss this item?
The award-winning budget.
The award-winning budget. I see no discussion apart from remarking that it's an award-winning budget. So, Madam Secretary, a roll call vote again, please.
Thank you. We're voting on item 8B6 with the first and second, starting with Director Conroy, who's absent. Dorsey?
Yes.
Ingardio is absent. Garbarino is absent. Judice?
Yes.
Grosboll?
Yes.
Hernandez is absent. Maston?
Aye.
Moulton Peters?
Yes.
Har?
Aye.
Rabbit?
Aye.
Rodoni?
Aye.
Sefai is absent. Snyder?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
There is absent. Second Vice President Hill?
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran?
Yes.
And President Terry.
Yes.
Thank you. That's 13 ayes for our budget.
13 ayes. That passes. Are we done, Director Rabbit?
We are. That concludes my report.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'm looking at my table of items 9 through 13 here, and I see blank, 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 blank. So the next item on our agenda would be adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
There's a motion, and I heard another voice, which we can take as a second. Is there anyone who objects to our adjourning? I see nobody. Prior to our adjournment, I will say that we will adjourn today in honor of Patrocinio Irlandés Bao, mother of Lieutenant Hector Bao, and Jessie Bell Butler, mother of Planning Administrative Assistant Roberta Reagan. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. We'll see you next month, someplace not district offices.